Welcome back. Market still up and away. 4% on the Nifty Bank and 2.5, actually 2.8 on the Sensex and Nifty. Once again, 7 stocks in the green, 1 in the red. Speaking of greenery, there was a lot of it on the Kaveri Seeds results. Reported a profit of 1.5 crore compared to a loss of 11 crore in the same quarter last year. They've also reported a positive EBITDA this quarter. Top line up about 18%. All the numbers will come up for you in a minute. So outlook looks positive. Let's invite Mithul Chand, Executive Director. Thank you very much for joining us, Mithul. Your top line is up, but margins are a bit under pressure. Can you tell us how this quarter is looking like? Is rural India able to still give you good demand?
Good morning, Lata. If you see the results, fourth quarter is a very lean quarter for the entire agriculture, especially for the seed sector. So the margins look a bit pressure, but if you take the entire year as a whole, margins stood around 27.5%, which is up by 1% more than last year. So we have improved our margins compared to previous year, and even the sales and the sales growth also were like 17% compared to previous year. So we are in a positive track, and still, as per our guidance, we stick to the guidance of 15 to 20% growth even for the next year. And as the season is progressing, and we are seeing the monsoon also fast approaching, we see a very good season coming up for this year also. And the season looks a bit early compared to previous year, because last year we have witnessed a very good monsoon, and so most of the tanks are also full. So the area which are under tanks and under cultivation, we are seeing a bit of increase in those acreages. I mean, it's early in those parts. Otherwise, entire agriculture operations remain same, and we stick to our guidance of 15 to 20%.
No, I just wanted a little more color. Wasn't any of the seed buying activity impacted by the lockdown anywhere? Was it comparable to last year's April and May? Better, worse? What can you tell about April and May so far in terms of demand?
You see, when the lockdown started around March last week, we have seen a bit of challenges in terms of the operations, because most of the laborers were not coming, and there were issues with the transportation part of it. But both central and state government both are intervened. I mean to say, they have helped us and made seed as an essential commodity segment. So the entire operations initially took a bit of a challenge, but more or less it all operated normally when compared to previous years. And if you see in terms of the net-to-net sale or net-to-net placement compared to previous year to this year, especially for March, April, and May, we are ahead of last year's sales, at least by 15 to 20% more than last year's sales.
Sure, that is some very optimistic commentary, and I think the street will be pleasantly surprised. But I also wanted your thoughts on receivables, because in Q3 your receivables were around 140 crores. Have they gone up? What are the debtor days right now? Any issues in recovery from debtors? If you can just give us some more details.
So if you compare year-on-year debtors, so we have not seen a major impact in the debtors cycle. A few like 5 or 10 crores plus or minus compared to previous year. Apart from that, most of the cash flow has been, we collect most of the cash flow before March itself. So even in the cash flow statement, even in debtors, it's comparable last year, and everything remains same as last year itself. And in fact, if you see the advances compared to previous year, we are up by some 20 crores in advances compared to previous year.
So what is the cash position on the books right now, and what is the debt structure? I mean, do you have sufficient liquidity? If yes, till what time are you sufficiently do you have reserves on your book? If you can give us some numbers.
Close to 400 odd crores. If you see our last 3 years, we have done 3 buybacks close to 200 odd crores the last 3 years. So whatever we generate, it's a free cash flow, and we maintain that 300 to 400 crores of cash on the balance sheet. That's more than sufficient. And whatever we earn every year, we tend to distribute to the shareholders in the form of buyback or in the form of dividends. So if you see the cash flow statement comparable to last year, we are a bit positive compared to last year, and I think it will continue for long. And we don't see much of a pressure even in the receivables as of now.
All right, Mr. Mithun Chand, we leave it there today. Thanks a lot for joining us. We have to focus back on the market. It's a stunning rally. And that's what, sometimes, happens when there's just too much disbelief in the rally. That's when the market has the biggest rallies. And there was a lot of discount in Nifty futures and the Bank Nifty futures. 800-point rally on the Bank Nifty now. Looks like a big trend day. Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba now joining us. Mitesh, been a very strong first hour. What's your call now and what would be the stock calls?
Yeah, no, much stronger than what I expected. I thought 97.50 will, act as some kind of a level, but I think after opening it just swiftly went past that. And the good thing is that today's low or just 10 points below that should become a trailing stop loss. Now, two things. One, we are very close to the highs we made in April, which was around 98.90. I think around those levels, I would expect some profit booking come in. The weekly averages also kick in around 9900, 9950 zones. So I think this entire area of 9900, give and take 20-30 points to about 9950 would be good levels to at least take some profits on index long positions. On stock side, I have two buy calls. I think still maintaining long buys. A lot of stocks are still breaking out and showing traction on the upside. So buy Chola Finance with a stop at 144 for targets of 160, and NCC is a buy with a stop at 24.20 for targets of 27.5.
Okay, Prakash, what would be your calls at 10 a.m.?
Well, good morning to you, Anuj. Looks like a rendezvous with 10,000 is on the cards. Matter of time, it's a breakaway gap. Looks very strong. I have two stocks, both on the long side. One is State Bank of India. Possibly we'll see an up move around 172 to 175 zones. Matter of a day or two. Stop below 164 should be fine. Second is Voltas. I think Voltas season time looks like massive up move. Possibly we'll see an up move around 550 zones. Stop below 504.
All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot for taking us through those calls. Lata, you remember the weekend discussion that we were having on the market? You asked me the question and we discussed that there's so much disbelief and could we have a big rally? I think the markets answered that.
Yes, absolutely. I had spoken to several prominent people in the market because I sensed that the way the US markets were behaving, there were some people who were poking fun at me, okay, one day of 1,400 crore FII buying and you're off to the races. But, the liquidity rush, the risk on in global markets, not concerned about Hong Kong, not concerned about the riots in your own country, not concerned about the length of the recession, the possibility of a relapse of COVID and lockdown as well. Nothing is bothering the US markets. They're almost back to their previous highs in some cases. All of which gave the sense that this combo of fiscal and monetary stimulus is not something we can ignore.
Exactly, Lata. And you know what, like we started that conversation, the Nifty futures were at 86-point discount. The Bank Nifty future was at 200-point discount. And I think market sometimes makes complete mockery of, the near-term, macro challenges.
Yes.
And that's what the market does, and that's what it's done today. Risky game, but well, that's what traders. That's what the markets do.
Oh yes, it was in the air, and that's why even all through the GDP discussions, even the previews to GDP discussions, I kept saying this is lagged. Do not relate it to markets because markets are in the grip of something else at the moment. So we have to distinguish the two. We have to analyze economy, we have to analyze earnings, and we have to analyze markets. Sometimes all the three don't mingle, as in this case. Okay, but there's someone else who can do it much better than us to relate liquidity and reality. Joining us now after this very short break is Rasesh Shah, Chairman and CEO, Edelweiss.